I feel like no one really warns you about what life is like after high school. You spend years being told what to do, what to wear, when to show up, and then suddenly it all just stops. I thought life would get easier after graduation, but the truth hit me way harder than I expected. I remember the day I last saw my classmates, and we dapped each other up as if it were just another regular day, and we would see each other next week. It's been 2 years, and most of them I never saw again. If you're about to graduate, or you just did, I'm gonna tell you what nobody else is saying, okay? So, what life really feels like after high school. The good, the bad, and the ugly. So, buckle up. Let's start with friendships. Friendships become arduous. All of a sudden, a friend is someone that you see 3, 4, 5 times a year. That's if you're lucky. Suddenly, friendships take effort, okay? I feel like in school, you didn't really have to make any effort. You were just always there with your friends. You guys shared the same experiences. You talked bad about the same teacher. You had the same crushes, and you knew everything about each other's lives. But as you grow up, that changes. You have to make deliberate effort just to maintain the friendship, okay? You have to remember to text and call and plan seeing each other in the middle of how busy life gets. And sometimes, even despite all of the effort that you make, certain friendships just don't survive, okay? Both people follow different paths in life, and you guys just fall out of touch. Another thing that I have noticed is that in the adult world, certain friendships only exist purely for transactional reasons, okay? So if you have a job, you'll become friends with someone, but that's simply because you make their life easier at the job. Or if you're at college and you're friends with someone, yeah, sure, you're friends, but that's because you give your notes to them at the end of the week. So if I had to place in a phrase everything that you could expect when it comes to friendships after high school, expect your circle to diminish, but don't view it as you losing all of your friends. View it as your circle being curated and only the real ones stay. I think that's a good way to approach it. Next up is relationships. Relationships is an even bigger change from high school to adult life, at least from my experience. In high school, if you have a crush on a girl from your class and you're like decent at PE and you have like 3 friends, you're set, right? You're golden. In real life, however, expectations grow exponentially. All of a sudden, you're expected to have a stable job. You're expected to have plans for the next 10 years of your life. You're expected to be something of high value. In high school, before you start dating someone, you've probably been friends with that person for a certain amount of time, okay? That person might be in your class, or if they're not in your class, they might be in the same year as you. So you guys will meet at the cafeteria, during lunch, whatever. You'll have interactions with that person before you jump to dating. In the real world, however, things change a little bit. You'll find yourself going on first dates with people that you don't know. You might meet them at a bar or at a party, or maybe you'll just cold approach them in the streets. And I feel like the biggest difference is that during high school, if you're in a relationship, you are in awe of the other person. You just want to admire them from a point of view. But in the real world, you're just trying to see if you like this person because you don't know who this person is. They are, a stranger, essentially. So most of the time, you're just sitting there looking at the other person, thinking to yourself, is this someone that I actually see myself with? Or is this just someone that I'm not really interested in? The first couple of years after high school are also definitely a bit weird because everybody's at a different stage of their life when it comes to relationships. You have the people that are still dating their high school crush that they met when they were like 15, and then you have the people on the other extreme that have never touched hands with anyone else. So even though people are the same age, everybody's at a different stage of their life. And really the last big change that I've noticed when it comes to relationships is competition, okay? I feel like in high school, once again, from my experience, if you had a crush on a girl, you were maybe competing with 2 or 3 guys from your class, some other guys from the same year as you. But it was like skill-based matchmaking, everybody was roughly the same age, everybody had roughly the same background. In the real world, however, that quickly changes. Let's say I go on a date with a girl that's 19, right, the same age as me. All of a sudden, I'm not just competing with guys that are my age. I'm competing with a guy that's 24, 25, already has a job, and is willing to pay $200 on a dinner just to go out with this girl, is willing to buy her a handbag on the first date, is willing to buy her plane tickets to a different country just so they can have dinner on a rooftop. This is a real story, by the way. So yeah, the dating world is definitely way more competitive outside of high school, right? You ask yourself, how can a 19-year-old that's in university compete with that? Well, yeah, I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. It's like, bro, what happened to buying an ice cream for $2 and then, laying on the grass and watching the stars? Everyone wants to find the best partner they can get. Everyone wants the dream car. Everyone wants the job. You're competing for all of these things. So is it fair? I don't know, but that's the game, I guess. After friendships and relationships, the next thing that I noticed was that the amount of time you spend alone increases by a lot, okay? Whether you go to university or you go to a job straight up, you'll just spend more time alone, and this can either be good or bad for you. You're the one who chooses what to do with this time, and you can use it to invest in yourself and pursue hobbies and careers that you want to pursue, or you can spend this time by staying at home and just be disappointed with your own life and not change. I feel like it's a double-edged sword, right? It can lead to a downward spiral or an upward spiral. You're the one who decides what to do with it. But I wouldn't say it's like a bad thing to have free time. I like to have free time. It's just that you have to learn how to be alone and not feel lonely, if that makes sense. The next thing is that dreams will either fuel you or haunt you, okay? I feel like the phase after high school ends is where most people either abandon their dreams or they stick with them and do their absolute best to make them a reality. So I'm not judging anyone here, by the way, that's a disclaimer, but I do see a lot of people leaving their dreams behind for a job and a pension. And I'm not saying that's the wrong thing to do, that's just a choice that they make. Other people stick with their dreams and stick with them until the end of their life. And I feel like this, now my age at 19, 18, 20s, this is the age in which people make that decision and they go in a certain path. Whichever decision you do, just remember that once you're 8 years old, you're gonna regret a lot of things, a lot of decisions that you make at this age. That's something that I'm always trying to do, project myself into the future and see what I will and won't regret. So try to have that in mind and you should be set. The next thing that I've noticed that you will feel after high school ends is that you will feel pressured to get your life together, okay? You will have that friend that's already in a relationship, so you'll think that you have to get into one. You'll have that friend that has already gotten a job that pays well, so you think that you're getting left behind and you have to get a job as well. I would say the biggest skill that you need during this time of your life is to have self-belief, okay? The belief that you can make your own decisions and that you can find the best path for your life, okay? Just because someone else is going down this way doesn't mean that you have to go down this way. You can go down another way because you guys have different goals in life. So yeah, at the end of the day, it's a decision that you have to make, and that's what being an adult is, right? It's figuring things out without receiving an applause for it. So those are all of the things that I could remember that I really noticed a big change when going from high school to adult life. Once again, if you are about to graduate, I don't mean to scare you, okay? I know that most of the things I said were bad, but you get independence, okay? You get a lot of independence. You become a different person. You start to find out who you are. That's one of the biggest things, because I feel like no one, after coming out of high school, you don't really know who you are yet. So you might have an identity crisis of trying to figure yourself out. But it's a journey. It's a journey that you can go on, and I think it's very pleasurable trying to figure out who you are, what do you like, what do you don't, who do you support. My goal with this video isn't to make you think that high school is the best part of life and that once you turn 19 or 20, life is ruined. Not at all, okay? They're just different phases of life, and you get to choose how you navigate them. So yeah, I hope that you enjoyed the video. I hope you got something out of it. And as always, subscribe if you want to. I'll catch you in the next one.